Located deep within space, on the outer edges of the Milky Way galaxy. Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely interested in this game, State of Decay, and I figured I'd go over some Q&A that they have from their forums and just talk about some questions and answers, and hopefully get people some more information, because there's some decent videos out there, but nobody's really covering it in real detail. So this is how I wanted to do it, and I figured I'd jump right into it. So right away, we're gonna just go into some questions that were asked on the forum, and I'll read the answers. So we'll just start off with buildings. Now the first question is, can you turn any building into a refuge? And the response was, there are two types of player established refuge, homes and outposts. Your home is your base of operations. It is where you keep your supplies, research new technologies, build facilities such as infirmaries and training areas, and where you and your fellow survivors can safely sleep for the night. The main requirements for a potential home site is that you have a perimeter fence or wall. Outposts are buildings you choose to establish as a supply and refuge point away from your home. Just about any building can be an outpost, including houses, stores, and commercial buildings. So this is pretty cool. So you are limited to where your homes can be. They have to be fence or walls, but there's going to be more than a few. And outposts, there's just about any building. Next question is, can a police station, prison, hospital, or other public buildings be used? The answer was, public buildings can be used for outposts. Some public buildings may also be suitable for home sites. So you're going to have a chance to build in many different places. Alright, so now we know, our next question is every building enterable? Is every room enterable and in that building? If a building is not damaged in such a way as to prevent entry, you will be able to go inside. The vast majority of buildings in State of Decay, are indeed enterable. It was hell of a lot of work to make this happen, but we felt it was a core to making you feel like you were in the real world. And I agree. I've watched people play DayZ, and the majority of buildings you can't enter, and that's kind of silly in my books. Alright, so next question. When we're building, do we go through menus RTS style? You said we don't have to find the wood. Do planks magically appear, or do we fetch them in backpacks? And the answer to that is, building in your home is accomplished by selecting the type of facility you would like to create or research in the journal UI, and then gathering the required resources, building materials, additional survivors, special needs such as copper wire or fertilizer. Each home site has a number of interior and exterior locations appropriate for building. It's not free-form building like Minecraft. Our goal is to streamline the building process so you can focus on strategic impact of your research and building decisions rather than requiring you to micromanage the details of the construction process. It says, when barricading doors and windows, you don't need to gather wood. We assume there is plenty of broken furniture and other appropriate barricade materials lying around during the apocalypse. And that's good. I like that. Alright, and another question to add to it. Are there any places in the world that you can only get specific equipment and that you can't find anywhere else? E.g. military base that will have army-issued guns and vehicles and such. Obviously, they would be a high-risk place to go, and they'd be worth it if you got out alive. And the answer is yes. Certain weapons, items, and vehicles can only be obtained in certain parts of the world. So that's way cool. That helps to want you to explore and check things out. Alright, so next question. In addition to hammered planks, will we be able to move objects like chairs and tables to barricade windows? The answer is, you cannot rearrange furniture to barricade doors and windows. We are prioritizing the strategic impact of the decision to barricade over the actual mechanics of doing so. That said, I think it would be cool to be able to barricade with furniture, but it's definitely on the consideration list for Class 4. And Class 4 is the MMO version of this. But I did see, reading on another part of the forum, you can use cars as barricades. So you can actually pile up cars outside your fort or house as well. Alright, so next question. With the right supplies, manpower, can primary bases be built from nothing, or is a pre-existing structure always needed? And the answer is you must use pre-existing structures and then modify it as suits your strategy, materials, and survivor skill set. Which makes sense, because it's not Minecraft in that aspect where you just build from the ground up, which was answered in an earlier question. Alright, next question. When you go and clear a building, closing all doors and barricading windows, etc., making sure no zombies can enter. If you leave via a secret entrance and come back later, will zombies have spawned there? And the answer is, you can barricade and secure buildings after you've cleared them out and claim them as an outpost. All buildings under your control, homes and outposts, create a radius of protection around the building and immediate area, which decreases the density of ambient zombies, prevents infestation of nearby buildings, and prevents zombies from spawning in the controlled building. Zombies will continue to attack the perimeter of the building if you are spotted or heard inside. And if they overrun the building, you can lose control of the building. So you better have your resources to protect what you claim. So that's really cool. You can lose your building by being overrun by a zombie attack. That is way cool. Alright, on to vehicles. Says, question is, I know we'll drive cars and trucks, but will we be able to fly helicopters and airplanes? Will we be able to drive bicycles, ATVs, and dirt bikes, motorcycles? The answer is, we're going to start with cars and trucks, but those are all great ideas for someday. So yeah, so we might get it later. It might be in the Class 4, aka the MMO version, but I'm okay with just cars and trucks. I don't need tons of vehicles. I'm going to be planning to do a lot of it, my exploration on foot anyway. Alright, so next question. Will vehicles be laying around in a fully functional state, or will most, if not all, require some repair? Answer. When you find a vehicle that has never been used before, you'll be able to drive it right away, but vehicles do get damaged to the point where they cannot be driven anymore. Some of the survivors in your home may have the ability to repair them, and you may choose to provide a facility to speed up repair and add improvements. So that's way cool. I really like that. So you just gotta keep track of the respected damage to whatever vehicle or item, and you can have people repair them. But if you neglect repair and they die, that's it. They're gone. Alright, next question. Do vehicles require fuel? Answer. Fuel is one of the resources you'll need to manage in the game, impacting your ability to create certain types of explosives and fuel generators for electricity. It may also have an impact on your vehicle, but we're still working on the system. We won't be modeling fuel on a per vehicle basis, so you're not going to be running out of gas in the middle of nowhere. So, short answer, no, you're not going to run out of gas. Which, you know, it's not terrible. It would be a small little addition. It would make it a little cooler, but that's really not a big deal. The vehicles can be damaged, doors can be ripped off, zombies can destroy the engines. It's cool. Alright, now on to weapons. Will the weapons we see be realistic and gritty, or are they going to be Dead Island, electro-cutting, flaming, and glowing style? Answer. We're going for realistic and gritty. All weapons, including guns, melee weapons, and devices you can build, such as Molotov cocktails and mines, are all modeled on realistic real-world counterparts that you'll be able to find or construct. Sorry, no flaming chainsaws of doom. Which is fine by me. If I wanted that, I'd just play Dead Island or those other ones. Alright. Next question. Will I be able to piece together and craft a machine gun or grenade launcher from scrap metal? Or will it be more realistic where I actually have to have the correct parts, not just generic gun parts A and barrel B? Will there be a need for different types of parts for different weapons? Or will we just need basic parts that can be combined to make what we need? And the answer, you cannot build guns. You can build other types of weapons, including a variety of incendiary devices, and you can build silencers for your gun, provided you have the upgrade for your workshop to a machine shop or ammunition shop. So that's way cool. I like that. Alright, next question. Will weapons maintenance play a role in the game in any way, meaning blades need sharpened, guns need repaired, etc.? We're experimenting with weapon durability models right now. We should be able to provide more details on the system in future Q&A. In the meantime, now is the time to weigh in on how you think this should work. And from what I've seen, it looks like weapons will have durability. And this is an earlier post, but it covers the majority answers and questions, and it hasn't really changed much. But the weapon durability seems to be part of the game now. Alright, next question. What if I run out of bullets, or my bat breaks, etc., and I'm left with nothing? Can I grab a shopping cart and push it into a crowd of desperate attempts as a desperate attempt to save my life? Or can I use random decor as a last resort? Basically what I'm getting at is, if it came to it, are we able to use items that wouldn't necessarily be your first pick to go out and kill zombies? The answer: you cannot grab random world objects to fight zombies. This is always good fun, and some zombie games have focused on this mechanic with great results, but we decided to invest the necessary development resources in other areas, such as realistic melee combat model. That said, most houses and buildings have items you can find to protect yourself in a pinch, such as crowbars, baseball bats, golf clubs, and frying pans. So there you go. You know, it's an Xbox Live Arcade game. It's not a $60 game, so of course it's not going to have everything you want to have, but this is going to be an awesome game. At least I think so. Alright, next question. How realistic will the damage be? You can indeed chop off arms, blow holes in torsos, and nail the perfect headshot. It's not a dismemberment simulator, but you can definitely see lots of flying body parts. So that's way cool. So, let's get to some other questions here. Alright. And now that will lead us into Zombie and Survivors Q&A. Zombie behavior and weaknesses. Question is, can you shoot off limbs, or can you shoot limbs off the Zeds while they're still alive? Answer: yes, you can shoot off their limbs and blow holes in their torsos, and they'll keep coming at you. Alright, so that's way cool. And next question, do the zombies require headshots to die and stay dead, or do they have hit points you need to deplete? Answer: headshots are by far the most effective method of killing a zombie. Our producer Jess says, if you melee attack, you basically need to beat the snot out of them to destroy the brain. Believe me, you'll know when you destroy the brain. So yeah, so you're gonna have to do headshots, which is awesome. Next question, will you be able to dismember a zombie? Answer: yes, simple as that. Alright, next question. Is the zombie's sense of sight dulled at night, and so that you can pass through certain areas that would have gotten you spotted during the day, or is the opposite true? Answer: their senses aren't dulled. Our zombies don't have the best eyesight anyway, but they do tend to be more active at night, and they prefer to travel in hordes. So while you might not encounter as many stragglers at night, you'll be in bigger doo-doo when you encounter a nocturnal zombie, because where there's one, there's a whole lot more. So that's cool. They're more active at night, and better chance of them being in hordes, I should say, or herds, either or. Alright, cool. So let's see, next question. If you clear the map of all zombies, will zombies keep spawning to account for off-map zombies moving into your neck of the woods? What if a cleared building isn't claimed? Answer: if you clear it but don't claim it, zombies will come back. Claiming a home or outpost will suppress the zombie spawn for a small radius around the building, but the creatures will continue to spawn elsewhere and wander towards the community if they hear anything to investigate. And as for clearing the map, it's not that small. You simply will not be able to move fast enough to shoot every Zed, which is what they're calling zombies. There are small parts of Trumbull Valley, which is the name of the place, that have no buildings for you to claim. Therefore, you can't stop zombies from creeping in through gaps in your line, which makes sense. Alright, so now we're going to survivors. And the question is, what happens if you kill off all your survivors? Will more spawn? Answer: there will always be more survivors in the world, but if you're going through them like Kleenex, you'll have a harder time finding enough people to keep your home thriving and growing. So that's way cool. Next question, can the NPCs be trusted? Answer: yes. You need to earn their respect before they'll help you, and some of them are so downright unsavory that you won't want to invite them in your home. But in State of Decay, you'll need to worry about a fellow survivor clubbing, or you will not need to worry about a fellow survivor clubbing you like a baby seal. So that's cool. From what I've seen, you can there's like an emotion aspect, and they can get disgruntled and leave, but yeah, they won't be just straight up trying to kill you when you're not looking, which is good. Alright, so next question. How do you tell your fellow survivors to help you build things and to help you search for supplies? How do you communicate with them when you don't see them? Are there walkie-talkies or something? Answer. You'll interact with survivors who are not part of your community by agreeing to help them, trading with them, and earning their trust. After they join your community, you can assign them various duties in your home base, e.g. manning watchtowers, working in the workshop, preparing meals in the kitchen, or tending to the wounded in your infirmary. They'll also be available for scouting, supply, and rescue missions when you call into your base via walkie-talkie and request assistance. So there's you go. You'll be calling them up and asking for stuff. Alright, next question. Will survivors follow you around, or can you tell them to stay at one of your buildings? Guard a non-home, non-outpost building? Can they fight? Will they run if things get out of control, or stand to be eaten? Answer. It depends on the situation, the survivor, and what you've done to the point. You can assign a survivor to defend a home or an outpost. They cannot do anything with an unclaimed building, but the number of buildings that can be claimed as an outpost is far greater than the number of potential homes. After that, what they do depend on, their tendencies and their situation belief, or the situation itself. I'm sorry. They will choose to fight or run for it, depending on what's going on, the number of zombies where you are, and what you've done in the past, their own inherent preferences, and more. You can get more specific in some situations, usually mission related, but generally you choose which survivors are best for which situation and which survivors suit your strategy of the moment, and then see how it plays out. So this is awesome. I'm really getting interested in this game big time. It just seems like there's just so much possibility to it. Alright, next question. What about survivors you haven't rescued? How do you interact with them? Can they be killed before you have a chance to invite them into your group? Answer. The interaction is more action than talking. Depending on what you've done so far and the survivor's own personality, they may offer you the chance to do them a favor. They may tell you to go out and go away. They might be extremely friendly. It just depends on the circumstances. Survivors won't join your community until you've earned their trust, and you can lose their trust you've gained through the actions or lack thereof. And yes, they can be killed before you've built that relationship if you are working with them on a mission and you do not protect them. They are not at risk until you've encountered them for gameplay reasons. If they're over on a part of the map you haven't gotten to yet, and therefore haven't met them yet, there's no chance they'll die until you have a chance to act. No guarantees after that, though. Yeah, so the survivors, the random survivors you wander on, they'll be spawned once you get into that area. They won't be doing their thing and possibly die. And so, just like they said, for gameplay reasons, they don't want that to happen. So that's cool. Alright, next question. Is there a limit to the number of survivors you can recruit? Answer. There is a limit based on how many bodies you can house, feed, and equip. You won't want to have 100 people milling around your base that you've built in an old church. Effectively, the limit is the size of your base and your ability to provide resources for its population. So yeah, limit to them. I'm probably not going to have tons of people. It just all depends. I've kind of thought about it. Like, I'll probably play the game through first time and just recruit whoever I can. And then I was thinking maybe the second or third time I would just try to play it solo or with just one or two people, with which you can do. You don't have to recruit survivors. It just increases your ability to survive and flourish through the game. All right, cool. So let's go on to the next question. This is an interesting question. Other humans are the enemy. Zombies are just added danger. It's an apocalypse, complete societal collapse. No more morals or democracy, just greed and survival. Will that kind of thinking be an element of the game? Answer. The other survivors aren't an enemy in the sense that they will try to kill you, but in terms of the story we're developing, there are definitely human beings who are not nice people in Trumbull Valley. There are some survivors who, if rescued, will harm your community with their bad attitude and tendency to show discord, and that leads to nasty consequences. So that's way cool. You know, keep in mind that this is the Xbox Live arcade game. It's a $20 game, and it's basically kind of like, I don't want to say it, but it's kind of like a beta into the next game. They're going to take opinions and views and mechanics from this game and shine them up to make their MMO version. But I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I like single-player games and MMO games. I don't necessarily need co-op games. Alright, so next question. Will it be necessary to sleep in State of Decay? Answer. Every survivor needs some downtime in order to operate at maximum personal efficiency. So in that sense, yes, you will need to sleep. Time to build a bunkhouse. Yeah, so I think that's really cool. Alright, let's see. Next question. Will the game go on if I log out? Will zombies continue to spawn overnight? Will I have to worry about my characters being in a safe place? Will my character start up in the same place condition I was when I logged out? Answer: the number of zombies won't change, and your home and your outpost will not be damaged while you are logged out. But if you weren't rested, or if you were injured when logged off, you'll come back feeling fresh as a daisy, assuming you were offline for the same length of time it would have taken for you to rest online. Any work you have queued up, such as upgrades to your home facility or weapon repair in your workshop, will continue to progress while you are logged out. And as a result of those mechanisms, though, you may have an extremely hungry community if you stay offline for months. Your survivor band will also be healing up and resting, and eating food and drinking water. So that is way cool. I'm really liking how this game is coming together. Alright, so next question. How will food and water affect the player-controlled character and other NPC survivors? Will scavenging for supplies, food, water, ammunition take a big role in this game? Answer: you will need to feed your community, or they will lose faith in you and eventually abandon you. And yes, you can't grow food. You cannot grow food in the safety of your base. You need to scavenge for it. So this must be from earlier, because now there's a garden. You can grow a garden in your base. So I guess they haven't updated this entirely. So there's one change that I found so far from reading. You will have garden. There's video for it. It's part of the base building mechanics. And I don't know how much food that garden will produce. That really hasn't been stated yet, but I would assume since it's a garden, you can keep planting gardens, and you can also move to other houses and set up bases and set up garden there. You'll lose your first, you can only have one home at a time, but you can have multiple outposts. I don't know about building with outposts. We'll get more into that if I can find more information. Alright, so next question. This is an interesting question. It's this one character, or this one member, was talking about just how real he hopes we're going to get. He said, they have said repeatedly that they want this game to be a hardcore survival game that takes into account human waste and NPC psychological needs. Answer: psychological needs and survivor morale are an important part of the community building. Unhappy survivors don't work as hard, contribute as much, or follow your lead as well. As hardcore as we are, though, human waste management is a bridge too far in terms of things we want to simulate. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty cool when it comes to that. Alright, and now on to a follow-up Q&A about vehicles. We got the weight and hauling stuff. Does the fact that you're in a car affect how much you can carry? If we use the car to carry a lot of stuff, will it go slower? Finally, can we actually store things in the back of the truck or in trunks of cars? Answer: no, not this round. Inventory is calculated per survivor, not vehicle. Vehicles do not have their own inventories, and therefore there's no visual to see or weight to calculate. You can put 2 other people as passengers in the back of pickup trucks. If you're feeling confident that you won't be attacked by zombies on the way to your destination, zombies can crawl into the bed and go to town. So that's kind of funny. Alright, next question. If zombies are clinging to your car, will they weigh down your car, or make you lose control? Answer: yes, zombies will absolutely affect the handling of your vehicle and even bring it to a halt. The calculation isn't weight, though. It's a specific characteristic of zombies themselves, and of course, how many of them there are. One zombie's not going to take out a car. So that is so cool. That I've seen the clips of them hanging off the hood and the tail of the truck. On the hood was cool. This one zombie was hanging on the hood, and the player drove the car into a wall, and it literally cut the zombie in half. So there's another cool possibility right there. All right, now on to survivors. Can your passengers shoot while in the car with you? Answer: we're still working on options for passenger behavior, but we do not think shooting is going to be one of the possibilities in State of Decay. However, we do think they'll be able to open their own doors and bash some Zeds. So that's cool. You know, I don't expect them all. I don't expect this game to be 100% perfect because it's a $20 game. I think what we're getting with $20 is amazing. So that's my opinion there. Alright, so next question. If you have 3 people with you, how well do they get into the car? Is it like GTA where you're up against the wall and they will go into the other door? Or is it like other games where passengers will always try for individual doors even if it means risking their life? Answer: well, we're working on having your passengers do things the smart, least risky way. I don't want to promise anything until we're further into testing, but we want the passengers to choose the closest available access point. So that's an interesting question. It's a small detail, but interesting question. Alright, so now on to damage repair. Question: tires take damage too? Yes? Answer: yes, you can get a flat tire, or tires, and yes, it'll affect the vehicle's handling. That's awesome. Alright, so next question. If parts can be replaced, headlights, windows, windshields, etc., will you need to find the parts, or will you just be able to fix them? If the parts are needed, will they be vehicle specific or all in general? Will all headlights fit all cars, or will you need specific headlights and other parts? Answer: we don't want you to kill yourself looking for the precise part or to lose one of the limited number of vehicles because the only part that would work is unavailable. Instead, you will need to have raw materials in stock in your workshop and someone that knows car repair inside your compound. If you have those elements, you just park the damaged vehicle and let your people get to work. So that is way cool. To be able to fix the damaged parts as well is somewhat cosmetic, but it's still awesome. Alright, next question. How will vehicle damage be handled? Will cars just up and explode, or will they just break down? Also, will cars actually have health? Like if I shoot a car's trunk, slowly wearing down its health, will it eventually break down / blow up? Or will the damage have to happen to important parts, engine, battery, fuel lines, etc., to actually cripple the car? Final question. Can we strip the car down and go all Kanye West and Jay-Z in Otis music video? I guess I'm getting old because I haven't seen that one. Answer: there's no health bar. That's more of the mask stuff we're trying to keep invisible. Doors can be ripped off and they will allow zombies to get into the vehicle with you. Zombies can do damage to the body. You can blow a tire by driving over rubble, glass, zombies, or just popping a curb too sharply. If you just keep going without stopping to address damages, the car will get to a point where it won't start. Ramming things is super fun, but try to keep it to squishy things. And even then you should bring the vehicle back to base for maintenance. Nothing drives well with a zombie limb in the engine compartment. If you ran something like a wall really hard or medium hard, but more than once, the engine will blow up. That will admittedly look cool as hell, but once the engine blows, the vehicle cannot be repaired. If it can be driven, it can be fixed. There are no mobile repair units in State of Decay. P.S. Don't forget different vehicles have different strengths. Sport cars go fast, but they're more fragile. Just think about it Just think about Just think about what you were to do for real in a given situation, and you should make it out all right. Okay. So yeah, the trucks will be, they'll be more rugged, and sports cars will be weaker. And as for the music video, no, you're not gonna, yeah, okay, so that gets into that. I don't care about that. Interface. How will the camera be for driving, third person, or first person? The whole game, answer, the whole game is in third person, including the driving. Question. In vehicles and on foot, will we be able to adjust the camera, zoom in and out, lock the camera into a desired position, move the camera around ourselves? To a point you can move the camera, or answer, to a point you can move the camera, but there's no zoom lock option. You know, which is cool because it's more of a, you play as a character, but it's not you. You are playing as other characters, kind of like a simulation game. So I like it that it is third person, that aspect, because then you won't feel like, you'll still feel like you're playing as them, but you won't feel like you. So then it'll make it more interesting when jumping in and out between the different players or NPCs. All right. General questions. Here we go. Question. Do you think we'll have a vehicle at the start? Answer. You will have the option to get a vehicle very near the start of the game. So that's simple and easy. Alright. Next question. Will cars ever disappear? For instance, can I leave my Mustang out in the woods, or will it have to be in a garage to be saved? Answer. Cars will not disappear. That's awesome. Alright. Zombies do not drive in State of Decay. The other survivors are not necessarily friendly, but neither will they stone cold rob you. The game is very careful tracking the number of vehicles in the world for gameplay reasons, and a side effect of that is that a car will always be wherever you left it, in the condition you left it in. That's awesome. I love that. Alright, next question. Will you be able to turn the headlights on and off at night? Being able to turn them off would help keep zombies' attraction down, but make driving harder, of course. A second part to this, will headlights get damaged if you hit zombies or poles and whatnot? And will you be able to replace them if they get broken? Answer. Excuse me. Answer. You can turn the headlights on and off. While light does attract zombies at night, which is something to keep in mind when you're strolling around at night with a flashlight, we tend to think the most important factor is going to be the engine noise. Since you're already creating a commotion that's attracting every undead within hearing range, you might as well turn them on and be able to see what where you're going. With that said, we will be fine-tuning the Zed's reaction to light and sound throughout the testing process. Oh, and yes, your headlights can get broken, but as I said in the repair section, you don't have to go out and unscrew a bulb from another car. Just take it home and make sure your workshop is stocked with material. So that's cool. Alright, next question. When you say finite, does that mean if we break all the cars we can't get anymore? Like they stop spawning? Answer. There are a finite number of cars in the world, sort of. If you blow up all your cars, you won't find any more on the streets or alleys or ravines of Trumbull Valley. But if that happens, you might find an NPC who knows where another one might be, for a price. Ahem. That's our mechanic for saving you from yourself if you are so terrible at the game that you lose every car. So that's way cool. Alright, next question. You guys at Undead Labs did say there's about 10 different types of vehicles, and my question is, what vehicles did you guys model after real life vehicles? Alright, so this is just talking about how they can't do licensing because it costs too much money, so yeah, that's really not too much about the game mechanics. This is a cool question. Can I have 20 cars all piled up at my home in a barricade or something? Answer, yes you can. I cannot wait to see your screenshots of this. That is way cool. I love that. This game has so much promise and possibility to it. Okay, so now on to some customization Q&A. Question. Can we play through the game as one character without having to play as other characters, assuming we don't die? Answer. Essentially yes. There are moments early on where you have to try a second character so you can choose who you prefer as your starting character, but outside of that you're not actually obligated to switch characters. Overall, you'll probably find the game easier if you do use multiple characters. Otherwise, you need to play very efficiently and with an eye on your stamina and focus on choices that boost your stamina overall. Good food supply, medical care, a comfortable place to sleep, etc. Or on tools that don't rely on stamina, cars, guns, explosive, etc. If you didn't do those things, you would want to stop playing for a while when your character became exhausted. Nothing actually forces you to rest or switch off when you're too tired to sprint, but you'd be at serious risk of death. It would be a very hardcore way to play. So yeah, that's awesome. So you can try to play hardcore all by yourself. It is going to be extremely difficult, but you can try. Alright, next question. If I play State of Decay cautiously, do my characters have to die, or does the game assume that you must regularly acquire new characters and shuffle between them? Answer. Generally speaking, you will be able to play cautiously and avoid dying, but there's a difference between what is possible and what is likely for most players. One of our goals as we balance the game has been to make deaths always feel like they were deserved. You know when you screwed up, and you know you could have done something differently. Even so, I wasn't kidding about nearly guaranteeing that you were going to die. I'd be shocked if the vast majority of people didn't at least lose one character or two while learning the ropes, and I think a lot of players will lose more than that. Not consistently, not every time you play, but when it's been a while, when you've gotten comfortable enough that overconfidence sneaks in, that's when you'll decide 2 bullets, a cracked 2x4, and a Molotov cocktail are going to be enough to clear out completely infested building. That's awesome. Alright, so next question. In the design, how many survivors make the ideal group? Answer. That's really up to your playstyle. The story doesn't force you to rescue anyone in particular. So who you rescue is up to you. It's a strategic and moral choice. Having more people means having a more diverse set of skills and abilities, and means your home is better able to fend off zombie attacks. On the other hand, more people mean more mouths to feed and a higher burn rate for ammo and medicine. Recently, I've run with as few as 3 and as many as 12, but we're continue to tune the experience, and these numbers are still very much subject to change. So it's really up to your game style, your gameplay style. It's your choice. I love that. Alright, question. Will survivors, when you're not playing as them, be able to decide for themselves to sacrifice themselves for the greater good? Answer. That can happen. Your survivors, when not being played directly by you, have their own minds and motivations. When they are in extreme danger, they will make the best choice available. This may mean running away. It may mean going out in a blaze of glory if they think they're going to die. If you want to keep them alive, you need to defend, protect, and fight alongside them. Please note that while you're offline, your survivors will not die. So, there you go. Awesome. Alright, question. Speaking of a greater good, if you were to save someone slow and a bit lame, Would we possibly be able to shoot him in the leg and use him as bait for zombies if we're caught in a tight spot? Which is awesome. This is funny. I just last night I was rewatching Walking Dead when Shane shoots Otis in the leg to save Carl and himself. So that's kind of cool. All right, answer. Interesting idea, but no. You could sprint away and ditch him though, or you could throw a noisemaker like a firecracker or an alarm clock his way and then crawl into a bush and hide while the zombie hordes are drawn to his location. Note to self, do not join this guy's survivor sale. That's an inside joke for the forum, so for the State of Decay forums. So yeah, interesting. Alright, next question. What happens if you pick a survivor that meets your play style, but the survivor has a bad attitude or a trait the other survivors do not like? Does he/she radiate that same bad aura when you play them? Answer. To a certain extent, you'll have conquered some of the psychological issues in order to play as the character, so the bad attitude will primarily be an obstacle to earning trust and building a friendship. Once you got the survivor, you won't tend to be excluded from content because of their personality, but having characters with traits like selfish assholes, pardon my French, this is just in the wording, and it says actual in-game trait too, does affect community morale and how eager others will be able to share with you. So that's way cool. Alrighty, next question. In regards to my community of survivors, can I eventually set my community up to run on its own with little to no input from me, or do I have to babysit everyone? Will they eat if there's food and they're hungry? Will they defend themselves if a zombie trespasses? Will they perform their job without me telling them to do so? Answer. Even from the start, the community will attempt to manage itself when you aren't intervening. There are limits as to what they'll do on their own. They won't tear up a garden you've planted or converted the last available space in the yard to a library, for example. But eating food and killing zombies are basic survival actions. They'll handle that on their own. Awesome. I am so looking forward to this game. Alright, next question. Will there be gear and clothes you can use to customize your appearance of your survivors? Will backpacks and guns display? Answer. Backpacks do show, and you can swap out your backpack for reasons of aesthetics, weight, noise, and capacity. Unfortunately, though, stowed weapons do not show, and you cannot change outfits. This is really just a matter of development focus. We think they are cool things, and changing outfits is absolutely essential for the next Class 4, the MMO, but we were not willing to push back the overall schedule for this. Ultimately, working on the core mechanics took precedence, which makes sense. You know, it's not that big. It's really just aesthetic. It would be cool to, when you switch between, like, say, a sword and a rifle, if you could actually see it on your back, but it's not like, the end-all, be-all. Okay, so, next question. Do all skills start from 0? And characters can only strengthen skills they're born with, or can anyone eventually learn every skill? Answer. Character progression and community progression is worth a whole article on its own. Characters are specialized to some degree. For example, most characters can never learn some of the special things physically strong characters can, e.g. additional combat techniques with a sledgehammer, but the majority of skills and bonuses can apply to anyone. So that's cool. Alright, next question. If time passes when I'm offline, how can I make sure I still have a community base where I get back from vacation, deployment, boot camp, overseas work, etc.? I'm concerned that I won't have much fun because my base will be overrun or vanish when I can't play for days at a time. So this has already been addressed a little early, but this is answered in a little different way. Answer. We would suck at our jobs if that was the case. Seriously, only playing once a week is pretty normal for some people. Taking a break for a month is something that happens sometimes too. We are balancing the game with that in mind. You may have heard rumors of the crazy hours that game developers work. Sad as it is, it means I don't have time to play games every day. So think of it this way. I'm not going to screw myself. Good answer. Continues on. We probably want to write a full article about how the world simulation works, but I can tell you some fundamental features of the system. The fact that the world continues while you are logged out isn't implemented as time pressure to force you to log in every day whether you have time or not. In practice, there's no reason that being logged out for a week has to be all that different from being logged out for a day. There are balance factors we can tune. The core point is that whenever you are away for a while, the state of the world will evolve based on how you left things. If things are basically in good shape, you will come back to find your survivors rested and some resources stockpiled, garden, advanced, etc. Invariably, the threat will ramp up a little too, with things like increased zombie activity in areas where survivors have been active, and maybe some new challenges like a disease outbreak, but they aren't meant to set the stage for how you play, not substitute for you having played. And just to be clear, your home will never be destroyed while you are not playing, no matter what shape you leave it in. What kind of game designer would have a moment like that happen when you can't be traumatized by it in person? Well, hopefully one who had some slick storytelling in mind for this kind of game, though. We want to see and experience the trauma firsthand whenever possible. Yeah, alright, cool. Alright, so next question. It would be nice if there was a normal mode and easy mode. This way the normal mode can have their worlds continue even when they aren't playing, and easy mode players can have the world stop when they're logged out. Answer. A big thing to keep in mind is that the events that happen while you are logged out aren't all negative. If the world simply froze, your characters would never rest or fully heal up. The game is really designed to be a balance between these two elements. Set up the world state with your actions and then reap the benefits or detriments from when you return. Part of what shaped our thinking is that State of Decay is a precursor to an online world game. The world won't stop for you in the next one, the MMO, which they're codenaming Class 4. So we'll have to make sure all these mechanics are fun and well balanced in State of Decay. So yeah, so there's a little bit more on that. Alright, now on to survivors. Question: how random are the characters? Will we ever see two characters that have the same skills and abilities? What about replays? Will the survivors be the same? Answer: storyline characters. You start as the character named Marcus Campbell, for example, and quickly meet Thomas Ritter along with Maya, Ed, Alan, and others. Will be the same every time you meet them. They have extensive histories as well. Many of the other survivors are generated, with their names, appearance, traits, and skills all potentially varying each time you play the game. So that's awesome. Alright, question. Is the game designed such that no two NPCs, all of whom may be potentially recruited and controlled by the player, look or sound the same, or have identical sets of skills and abilities? Answer: there is a limit to the amount of art we created. You'll probably never encounter two NPCs who look exactly the same at the same time, but if enough people die, you may start encountering survivors who bear a striking resemblance to those you've met before. In these cases, their abilities and names will almost certainly be different, though there's some randomness there, so no guarantee. It's possible for two survivors to be similar in the same way it's possible to flip a coin and get tails 10 times in a row. So that's way cool. So we'll see variations. This game has a lot of promise for replayability. Alright, on to the next question. Is it possible to have a character who is completely useless? Hey, I know a few people like this. Yeah, I know too. Alright, answer. Oh, I wouldn't say anyone is useless, but certainly some provide key skills that others do not, and some survivors are more immediately useful than others. With time and effort, anyone can become a good shot, competent at hand-to-hand fighting, and bright enough to come out of the rain. Don't underestimate the value of that. More than one project has been scuttled by too many managers, too few workers. Yeah. Okay, so next question. Will we be able to see everyone's skill before we recruit them as a group, or to the group? Can you talk to them or read a bio, or are you only able to find out their skills after they become one of the family? The answer is you get a limited glimpse into this and have to make your decisions based on the information you have. When you talk to someone, you'll be able to see their personality and one major background trait. So that's cool. Alright, so next question. How do you switch between characters? What are the limits on switching between characters? Is there a proximity range for switching between characters? And what happens to one you switch from in general? Answer: you can walk up to a friend and make the switch via conversation, but if you've been watching our videos, you know there's also a journal you use to keep track of everything that's going on, including keeping track of all your community members. You can also find your friends in the journal and switch to them with a press of a button. There are limitations though. For example, you can't switch survivors while you're in the middle of a mission or in combat, and you can't switch to someone who's gone missing. Makes sense? Alright, so next question. Along with potential swap backup, can you also request help from your survivors? Is there a way to get a survivor of your choice to come and kill zombies with you until you send them home? Answer: you can't call your base. You cannot call your base and ask for a specific person. You can switch to the survivor if you want to run over to the trouble spot. There is no way to switch when you're in combat though, so your best bet is to find a safe place to hide. Switch to the survivor you want and get to the source of the action. Alright. This is all great information. Alright, so next question. Let's say I have a 2-star cook named Wendy back at my base. While I'm out scavenging, I come across a 4-star cook named Chris who also has some woodwork under his belt. What options do I have for this situation? Do I have to replace one character for the other? Can I have both? Will the food get cooked quicker or something if I have both? Answer. Your survivor best suited to a particular job will be automatically assigned to the appropriate facility upon joining your community. Having 2 of something in your group means you have backup. Redundancy is good. Cool. See, I'm just loving how they're putting this together. Alright, so now we're going to move on to another one. Skills and abilities. Question. Do you mind telling us how many skills are in the game total right now? Answer. Well, if you count spike handling, it'd be 35, so 1 fewer than that. Note, a little more than half of these are not all that useful. So that's interesting. They're being a little bit vague with the rest of the skills, but I mean, it's cool. I don't need thousands of skills. Alright, so next question here, which deals with the 4 basic skills. Alright, we know there are 4 basic skills everyone has. From the screenshot shown, we can assume that the number of total skills is limited to 6. Likewise, for traits, I'm assuming a limit of 8, although that would be a lot of traits. Answer. The survivors can't have more than 7 skills and 6 traits, and they probably have fewer. The 7th would be the survivor's weapon specialization. It's special, so it gets a blue background. So why 6 traits and 8 slots for displaying traits? We sometimes use this space to display some additional temporary status information. Alright. Next question. Can you give some more examples of signature abilities? Can you have more than one? Answer. As the article said, each survivor can have 4 signature abilities, but only one of each type: offensive, defensive, utility, and general. Here are a few examples. Decapitate, offensive. Hold LB and press X to launch a slow, focused attack guaranteed to decapitate the target. Next is Rage. It's a general skill. Sometimes taking your anger out on something is therapeutic. Every time you kill an enemy, you regain a small amount of stamina. Thievery is a general skill. You are the knight. Doors are never considered locked to you, and you make no noise when you search. You can also move quickly while sneaking and holding LB, the left LB button. So you can have both Decapitate and Rage because they're in different categories, but you can't have both Rage and Thievery because they're both in the general category. Alright, so interesting. Next question. Do wits affect other things too, or just search speed? Answer. There is also a few abilities that you gain automatically with wits, and some signature abilities. The Thievery ability I mentioned above requires 7 stars in wits. See, I'm really digging the whole skill tree setup on this and how you can level up your character essentially. Alright, so next question. Can skills like construction or vehicle repair be taught? For example, if I consistently use a character to build alongside an established construction expert, can she eventually get the skill? Answer. No, though that would be pretty cool. So, yeah, that might be something they're looking at for Class 4, the next game, the MMO version. Alright, next question. Does a maxed out leader character effectively automatically become the leader of the group as another characters start referring to him as leader? Some characters like him taking charge while others don't, etc. Answer. There is no formal leader in a survival community in the sense that you're using the term, but survivors can temporarily take on a special role within the community based on what they've accomplished the day before. Interesting. Alright, next question. Will all traits and skills have flavor text or info text to explain what they do in more detail of you highlight them in the game? Answer. Yes, though we don't spell absolutely everything out. There are a lot of mechanics working behind the scenes, so instead of trying to explain all of them all the time, we try to make sure the consequences of your choices are sensible and to call things out if and when they matter. So someone with a potential disruptive personality won't constantly be causing problems at random. We'll let you know before they start acting up so you know what to pay attention to. Sweet. Next question. Is there only one type of attack with a weapon, or are there multiple moves you can gain / unlock as they are in unarmed combat? Answer. Increased skill with melee weapons unlocks new moves. Yes. Increased skill with a gun gets you reduced recoil, more headshot accuracy at a distance, faster reload times, faster jam clearance, and reduced wear and tear on the gun. So that's sweet. I'm really digging this whole Q&A session they set up. Alright, next question. Is sexting actually in the game, or was it just a joke? And if you don't know what sexting is, I'm not going to explain it. Answer: it is indeed an actual skill in the game, as are Sudoku and reality show trivia, but it does nothing in a world where cell towers are no longer functional. I think it's just to add to like just a little more like feel to the game. Alright, so here we go. Moving on to improving. Question: how hard is it to raise the skills of a character? How long does it take for a character to max a skill? Answer: depending on how you play and whether or not you're good at pulling off some of the feats that give you bonus XP. Here are a few things you can expect though. The overall rate of progress is a lot quicker than it'd be if there wasn't permadeath and character switching. As you might expect, the early stars come in more quickly and then the later stars. You shouldn't expect to completely max out a skill in a single play session, but you shouldn't be playing for a long time without making any progress. Thinking in terms of trying to grind for skills is probably a bad idea. Remember that your ammo is limited and melee weapons get damaged and break. If you got a community to feed and protect, it's probably more important for you to save those last 10 rounds for the next incoming horde than it is to try to go out and shoot Zeds in the field for target practice. Awesome. Alright, next question. What is the effect of more skill? Say if a person with level 1 melee skill used a lead pipe on a zombie, would it take multiple swings in order to kill it, as opposed to someone with level 5? Would he just insta-smash the head of a zombie in? If I had some superhuman all-star survivor, would I be a one-hit KO zombie mash master every time? Answer: our goal is to never let the survivor stat override player skill, so yes, your odds of smashing a zombie's head with your first swing is a little better if you have 5 stars in fighting instead of 1, but your primary advantages are the additional abilities you've unlocked and the fact that you have 20 plus vitality. Alright, so next question. How much of an effect does the skill leadership have on the amount of influence I gain in a common mission? The bonus is currently 10% plus 10% at 1 star and plus 100% at 7 stars of leadership. The exact number and names are still subject to change as we continue to refine play balance and playability, of course. One note of clarification: the bonus is for trust, not influence. You'll find that trust is more valuable and scarce of the two. That's why we put the bonus there. Okay, next question here. Will unused traits ever lose stars? If I got 2 stars in fighting, but then never fight, will I become rusty and downgrade to 1 star? Answer: no. We talked about doing this for the 7th star, but decided to keep things simple. Alright, next question. If someone had a bum knee, could you get them the equivalent of some therapy training and eliminate the negative side effects? Short answer: nope. So yeah, if someone has a bum knee, you can't recuperate them, I guess. But they'll rest. You can rest up. So I don't know. I really don't know details on that. Alright, so next question. Will NPCs level up skills when using them, or do you have to be in direct control of the character for them to improve? What about NPCs who aren't part of your community? Are they just out there in the world getting better at stuff? Can a survivor level up while offline? How exactly do the survivors in the community level up skills if you can't directly control them? Answer: survivors only improve their skills while you are controlling them directly. Their skill levels stay the same while they are running around as NPCs, and they do not gain XP while you are offline. We've discussed having them gain a small amount over time, especially as they carried out actions like supply runs and home defense in the game, but decided to save this progression moments for when you directly use the skills. Makes sense. Alright, question. Can all skills get maxed out to 7, or do you continually improve them? Do characters with less ability cap out sooner than 7? All of the skills to which a character has access can be maxed with endless time and focus. It will take the character with less natural ability significantly more time. You may prefer to spend on finding food and making landmines. Also remember, not every character will have access to everything, and that will give us more credence to try playing as other characters, so I like that. Alright, next question. If a successful headshot streak helps level up gun skills faster, how do wits level up faster? Answer: certain activities provide a bonus to wits. For example, climbing up to a lookout point and surveying the area for infestations and hordes gives you extra wits XP. That's cool. Alright, question. Will there be a way to safely train your skills, like on dummies? Answer, not exactly. If you build a dojo and institute combat training, your community gains a temporary bonus to how fast everyone gets fighting XP, but you still have to go out and fight actual zombies to improve your skill. Cool. Makes sense? Alright, so here we're moving on to the things they hold. Question. What do you mean by starting weapon? Do you mean that this is their best weapon that they are good with, or when you find them, they have that on them? Answer. It's whatever they happen to have on them. That may or may not be related to their existing skill, and if it's at all related to the survivor's potential, it is due to random chance. Yeah, that's the whole random spawning procedure. Alright, so question. Will the survivors always have starting weapons, or could someone arrive with nothing? Answer. Nothing is certainly a possibility. Not everyone is equally prepared for the apocalypse. Makes sense. Alright, cool. Next question. If your character is carrying a bag of supplies, as we saw in the distraction trailer, can that character drive a vehicle with the backpack, or can she only run? If he can drive with a backpack, what happens to the backpack when you get inside the vehicle? Answer. Your stuff stays with you. As you may have noticed in the video, the backpack doesn't show when you get into the vehicle. Just assume the survivor tossed it on the seat. Yeah, makes sense. Alright. Next question. Does increased firearm ability prevent or reduce or slow wear and damage to the weapon themselves? Very short answer. Yes. So increased firearm ability prevents wear and tear on the weapons. Sorry. Jeez. I gotta drink water real quick. Alright. Now on to personalities. Can negative traits be improved? For example, a selfish butthole might realize that the way he's going isn't going to work in the current world. Could he bust his butt to become a team player or something? Similarly, could a coward with enough combat exposure become a battle-hardened dude? Answer. Generally speaking, people don't change who they are. There are a few situations where personalities can change, but you should not assume that you can smooth all the rough edges off of everyone and eliminate all their drawbacks. Our reasons for that are gameplay related as much as anything, but it's also an attempt at realism. I don't know how many selfish buttholes you've had to deal with in your life, but I'm pretty certain it'd take a hell of a lot more than a zombie apocalypse to turn around most of the ones I've known. It's very true. Generally, people, especially once they get into a certain age, especially once they become adults, they tend to not change. Or it takes something very drastic to make them change. Maybe, I don't know. It's interesting, though. I like that aspect. Alright, so next question. Does a character with negative personality traits need to be at the base near others to affect community members? Or is it whatever any character is feeling anytime, anywhere, immediately affect all community members across a map? Could I keep my community happier by assigning a rude person to an outpost? Answer. Oh, that's a fun idea, but no. He can ass things up for the community, but no matter what, no matter where he is. Okay, interesting. So if you have a jerk in your community, it doesn't matter where he is, he can just make things worse. Interesting. Alright. Now we go into, next question. Can injury and or poor morale permanently affect the survivor's personality and traits? If a survivor has good leadership and is friendly, and then his friend dies, will this personality and mood degrade accordingly? If a survivor is faced with several of his groups getting killed, will that potentially have an everlasting effect on his mental state? Interesting question. Answer. There's a little bit of this, but it's pretty rare. Attitude changes are much more common and frequent than permanent personality changes. Morale is always a concern. Unintended morale problems lead to mutiny, survivors leaving, and even suicide. Death certainly affects morale, but if you can get people cheered up, they won't start having flashbacks or anything. They'll just get depressed over the next horrible thing that's going to happen. See, I love this little part of the game. This little micromanagement of people's emotions and stuff and how people react. I think it's just going to add such a cool feel to the game. Alright, so on to the next question. Will there be relationships stronger than friends? I'm not talking about having babies included in the game, but a lover and a number one go-to guy would be so amazing, seeing how it's a community-based game. Answer, no, sorry. Friendship is awfully meaningful, though. So yeah, for all you romantics out there, you're not going to be able to be romantic on the apocalypse zombie battlefield. I'm sorry to say. Alright, next question. It says in the examples of fear that some people are resistant to fear. Does that mean they are going to run out in a blaze of glory or what? Answer: it means their attitude won't tend to switch to a fearful one, which means they won't be responsible for events like wasting a bunch of ammo, firing off in panic. Oh, that's awesome. So if you have people that are scared, they could just fire off their P90 fully auto machine gun and maybe kill one zombie, but just waste a whole clip of ammo. That's awesome. Alright, here we go. Now into the next section. Kicking out people. Question: how do you tell a survivor he is no longer welcome in the group? What happens right after this option is chosen? Does the survivor walk away into the distance or just disappear completely? See, this is the kind of stuff I'm really interested in. Alright, here we go. Answer: first of all, the survivor might tell you hell no. He might go, so there's that. Use someone with leadership if you want to be sure he'll take you seriously. If he does leave, he may help himself to supplies depending on his personality. Then he'll head for shelter, possibly another community, possibly on his own. If he's out alone, you may hear him screaming for help someday. Yeah, so this is interesting. I remember seeing on a PAX video, the guy was saying if you have a jerk in your place, you might want to lock up your supply so he doesn't steal it, and this just adds to that. So, all right, next question. If we kick someone out on of our clan, can we later add them back? Which they mean community, not like multiplayer. Answer is yes. If they survive and they're willing to come back, you'll need to earn their trust again, though, to be able to invite them. Okay. Question: will a family be mad if I kick out a family member? Like if I kick out an autocrat because he's a jerk, will I get resistance? Answer: resistance? Not exactly. You'll want to pay close attention to everyone's feelings, though. Some of your other members may think to themselves, hey, if he'll kick out this guy, I could be next. Others might be relieved. That is so cool. Alright, now we're moving on to changing and evolving. Question: I would like to know if you folks have something that keeps track of what skills your community has, and from there determines challenges to throw at you. If so, how does the system make a decision on what mission to generate? Is it an AI or some arbitrary duck-duck-goose system? Answer: we do try to tune the challenge a bit based on how well you're doing, but within limits. A core part of this game is letting your actions have real consequences, so the primary driving force behind missions and situations appears what you've done before. What determines whether or not there's a mission to go rescue a missing person from your community? It'd be something like you didn't help out someone who was calling for help, and luckily instead of being killed, they just went missing. Why are these missions to clear out an area that's been overrun by zombies? It's because you've let a bunch of places get overrun by zombies. So it's true that the events are sometimes arbitrary, but often they're determined by your prior actions. Alright, so cool. I'm so digging this. Alright, question. You said there could be conflict between the group's characters and that counselor characters can help fix disputes. How will conflict affect people? If one character is overpowering easily and upsets another, will the upset character not perform certain tasks, run away, ask to leave? Answer: all of the above. They might be less willing to cooperate across the board, and their unhappiness will lower morale across the board, sending the whole community into a downward spiral of unhappiness and lack of motivation. See, this is why if this happened in real life, I'd probably be on my own or just with very, very small group, because big groups, they're all going to become idiots, turn on each other. Alright, so moving on. Next question. Can in-game actions transfer to physical traits? For example, bum leg is a trait in addition to being a character you start with. Can you get a bum leg due to an injury? Answer: no, though I've been very tempted to add that. Alright, well, that's nice and simple. Next question. Is there a permanent cough trait where some characters literally can't sneak effectively? Could a survivor develop such a cough? Answer: no, although there are abilities that make you sneak more effectively, but it is possible to get sick and develop a cough, if not a coughing trait. So interesting. So you can develop. That is so cool. Alright, so now just a little clarification they're going into. Cardio, rule number 1, survival. If you run out of stamina, that's it. Can't fight, can't run away, you're done. If you completely run out of stamina but have full health, is your character then truly dead? Or can you sneak into the bushes or lay low on a roof, water tower, outpost, etc. for a while to compose yourself like you mentioned later in the article? Answer: sorry, we should probably tone down that description a little bit. Being out of stamina doesn't have any direct, immediate impact on whether or not you are alive. But you will find that without stamina, you are much more vulnerable in combat, and you'll have trouble getting away if you decide to flee. Stamina comes back pretty quickly when you aren't sprinting or fighting or climbing, but there's a little more to it than that. If you've just used a bunch of stamina and dropped down to 0, to get it back, you just have to take it easy for a little bit or eat a snack. After you've run around for a long time, though, you'll find your maximum stamina getting lower and lower. To get back, you need to actually leave the survivor at home to rest or use something more extreme like a stimulant. Alright, well that's awesome. Well, that's it. That's the bunch of questions and answers provided by the State of Decay forums. I'm really looking forward to this game. Hopefully it'll be out in spring. I really don't see this coming out in summer. Maybe. I hope not. They've been saying early 2013 for a while now, so I'm hoping the end of March. That's what I'm really hoping for, but everybody knows how the game industry works. It can be delayed no matter what. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helped answer a little more detail into questions that people might have. And like I said, I want to just create a little more in-depth look into this, because people have made a lot of good videos, but they haven't really gone into great detail on this, and I've tried to go into pretty much all the detail I can find on this subject. So yeah, thanks again for listening, and I hope you're like me and you're looking extremely forward to this game, and looking really forward to bashing some zombies' heads in. So yeah, alright guys, see you later.